Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Secret Door to Success by Florence Scovel Shinn. This audio is brought to you by You Are Creators, Inc. Chapter 1. The Secret Door to Success. A successful man is always asked, "What is the secret of your success?" People never ask a man who is a failure, "What is the secret of your failure?" It is quite easy to see, and they are not interested. People all want to know how to open the secret door to success. For each man there is success, but it seems to be behind a door or wall. In the Bible reading, we have heard the wonderful story of the falling of the walls of Jericho. Of course, all biblical stories have a metaphysical interpretation. We will talk now about your wall of Jericho, the wall separating you from success. Nearly everyone has built a wall around his own Jericho. The city you are not able to enter contains great treasures, your divinely designed success, your heart's desire. What kind of wall have you built around your Jericho? Often it is a wall of resentment. Resenting someone or resenting a situation shuts off your good. If you are a failure and resent the success of someone else, you are keeping away your own success. I have given the following statement to neutralize envy and resentment. What God has done for others, He now does for me and more. A woman was filled with envy because a friend had received a gift. She made this statement, and an exact duplicate of the gift was given her, plus another present. It was when the children of Israel shouted that the walls of Jericho fell down. When you make an affirmation of truth, your wall of Jericho totters. I gave the following statement to a woman: "The walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I entered my promised land under grace." She had a vivid picture of stepping over a fallen wall and received the demonstration of her good almost immediately. It is the word of realization which brings about a change in your affairs, for words and thoughts are a form of radioactivity. Taking an interest in your work, enjoying what you are doing, opens the secret door of success. A number of years ago, I went to California to speak at the different centers, by way of the Panama Canal. And on the boat, I met a man named Jim Tully. For years, he had been a tramp. He called himself the king of the hobos. He was ambitious and picked up an education. He had a vivid imagination and commenced writing stories about his experiences. He dramatized tramp life. He enjoyed what he was doing, and he became a very successful author. I remember one book called Outside Looking In. It was made into a motion picture. He is now famous and prosperous and lives in Hollywood. What opened the secret door to success for Jim Tully? Dramatizing his life, being interested in what he was doing. He made the most of being a tramp. On the boat, we all sat at the captain's table, which gave us a chance to talk. Mrs. Grace Stone was also a passenger on the boat. She had written The Bitter Tea of General Yin and was going to Hollywood to have it made into a moving picture. She had lived in China and was inspired to write the book. That is the secret of success, to make what you are doing interesting to other people. Be interested yourself, and others will find you interesting. A good disposition, a smile, often opens the secret door. The Chinese say, "A man without a smiling face must not open a shop." The success of a smile was brought out in a French moving picture in which Chevalier took the lead. The picture was called With a Smile. One of the characters had become poor, dreary, and almost a derelict. He said to Chevalier, "What good has my honesty done me?" Chevalier replied, "Even honesty won't help you without a smile." So the man changes on the spot, cheers up, and becomes very successful. Living in the past, complaining of your misfortunes builds a thick wall around your Jericho. Talking too much about your affairs, scattering your forces, brings you up against a high wall. I knew a man of brains and ability who was a complete failure. He lived with his mother and aunt, and I found out that every night when he went home to dinner, he told them all that had taken place during the day at the office. He discussed his hopes, his fears, and his failures. I said to him, "You scatter your forces by talking about your affairs. Don't discuss your business with your family. Silence is golden." He took my lead. During dinner, he refused to talk about business. His mother and aunt were in despair. They loved to hear all about everything, but his silence proved golden. Not long after, he was given a position at $100 a week, and in a few years, he had a salary of $300 a week. Success is not a secret. It is a system. Many people are up against the wall of discouragement. Courage and endurance are part of the system. We read this in lives of all successful men and women. I had an amusing experience which brought this to my notice. I went to a moving picture theater to meet a friend. While waiting, I stood near a young boy selling programs. He called the people passing, "Buy a complete program of the picture containing photographs of the actors and a sketch of their lives." Most people passed by without buying. To my great surprise, he suddenly turned to me and said, "Say, this ain't no racket for a guy with ambition." Then he gave a discourse on success. He said, "Most people give up just before something big is coming to them. A successful man never gives up." Of course, I was interested and said, "I'll bring you a book the next time I come. It is called The Game of Life and How to Play It. You will agree with a lot of the ideas." A week or two later, I went back with the book. The girl at the ticket office said to him, "Let me read it, Eddie, while you are selling programs." The man who took tickets leaned over to see what it was about. The game of life always gets people's interests. I returned to the theater in about 3 weeks. Eddie had gone. He had expanded into a new job that he liked. His wall of Jericho had crumbled. He had refused to be discouraged. Only twice is the word success mentioned in the Bible, both times in the book of Joshua. "Only be strong and very courageous to observe to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right nor to the left, that thou mayest have good success whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart from thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do all that is written therein. For then shalt thou make thy way prosperous, and thou shalt have good success. Turn not to the right, to the left." The road to success is a straight and narrow path. It is a road of loving absorption, of undivided attention. You attract the things you give a great deal of thought to. So if you give a great deal of thought to lack, you attract lack. If you give a great deal of thought to injustice, you attract more injustice. Joshua said, "And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout. And the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him." The inner meaning of this story is the power of the Word, your Word, which dissolves obstacles and removes barriers. When the people shouted, the walls fell down. We find in folklore and fairy stories, which come down from legends founded on truth, the same idea. The word opens a door or cleaves a rock. We have it again in the Arabian Nights story, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. I saw it made into a moving picture. Ali Baba has a secret hiding place, hidden somewhere behind rocks and mountains. The entrance may only be gained by speaking a secret word. It is, "Open Sesame." Ali Baba faces the mountain and cries, "Open Sesame!" and rocks slide apart. It is very inspiring, for it gives you the realization of how your own rocks and barriers will part at the right word. So let us take the statement, "The walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land under grace." Chapter 2. bricks without straw. There shall no straw be given you, yet ye shall make bricks without straw. Exodus chapter 5, verse 18. We have a picture of everyday life when giving a metaphysical interpretation. The children of Israel were in bondage to Pharaoh, the cruel taskmaster, ruler of Egypt. They were kept in slavery, making bricks, and were hated and despised. Moses had orders from the Lord to deliver his people from bondage. Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness." He not only refused to let them go, but told them he would make their tasks even more difficult. They must make bricks without straw being provided for them. And the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, and they spake to the people, saying, "Thus saith Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go ye, get you straw where you can find it, yet not aught of your work shall be diminished." It was impossible to make bricks without straw. The children of Israel were completely crushed by Pharaoh. They were beaten for not producing the bricks. Then came the message from Jehovah. "Go therefore now and work, for there shall no straw be given you, yet shall ye deliver the tale, number, of bricks." Working with spiritual law, they could make bricks without straw, which means to accomplish the seemingly impossible. How often in life people are confronted with this situation. Agnes M. Lawson, in her Hints to Bible Students, says, "The life in Egypt under foreign oppression is the symbol of man under the hard taskmasters of destructive thinking, pride, fear, resentment, ill will, etc. The deliverance under Moses is the freedom man gains from the taskmasters as he learns the law of life, for we can never come under grace except we first know the law. The law must be made known in order to be fulfilled. In the 111th Psalm, we read in the final verse, "The fear of the Lord, law, is the beginning of wisdom, a good understanding of all that they do his commandments. His praise endureth forever." Now, if we read the word Lord, law, it will give us the key to the statement. The fear of the law, karmic law, is the beginning of wisdom, not the fear of the Lord. When we know the whatever we send out comes back, we begin to be afraid of our own boomerangs. I read in a medical journal the following facts telling of the boomerang this great Pharaoh received. It would appear that flesh is indeed heir to a long and ancient line of ills, when, as was revealed by Lord Monaghan at a lecture at Leeds, that the Pharaoh of the oppression suffered from hardening of the heart in a literal sense. Lord Monaghan showed some remarkable photographic slides of results of surgical operations 1,000 years before Christ, and among these was a slide of the actual anatomical remains of the Pharaoh of the oppression. The large vessel springing from the heart was in such a well-preserved state as to enable sections of it to be made recently from the lantern slide. It was impossible to distinguish between the ancient and modern vessel. Both hearts had been attacked by atheroma, a condition in which calcium salts are deposited in the walls of the vessel, making it rigid and inelastic. Inadequate expanse to the stream of blood from the heart caused the vessel to give way. With this condition went the mental changes that occur with a rigid arterial system, a narrowness of outlook, restriction and dread of enterprise, a literal hardening of the heart. So Pharaoh's hardness of heart hardened his own heart. This is as true today as it was several thousand years ago. We are all coming out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Your doubts and fears keep you in slavery. You face a situation which seems hopeless. What can you do? It is a case of making bricks without straw. But remember the words of Jehovah. Go therefore now and work, for there shall no straw be given you. Yet shall ye deliver the tale, number, of bricks. You shall make bricks without straw. God makes a way where there is no way. I was told the story of a woman who needed money for her rent. It was necessary to have it at once. But she knew of no channel. She exhausted every avenue. However, she was a truth student and kept making her affirmations. Her dog whined and wanted to go out. She put on his leash and walked down the street in the accustomed direction. However, the dog pulled at his leash and wanted to go in another direction. She followed, and in the middle of the block, opposite an open park, she looked down and picked up a roll of bills, which exactly covered rent. She looked for ads, but never found the owner. There were no houses near where she found it. The reasoning mind, the intellect, takes the throne of Pharaoh in your consciousness. It says continually, "It can't be done. What's the use?" We must drown out these dreary suggestions with a vital affirmation. For example, take this statement: "The unexpected happens. My seemingly impossible good now comes to pass." This stops all argument from the army of the aliens, the reasoning mind. The unexpected happens. That is an idea it cannot cope with. "Thou hast made me wiser than mine enemies." Your enemy thoughts, your doubts, fears, and apprehensions. Think of the joy of really being free forever from the Pharaoh of the oppression, to have the idea of security, health, happiness, and abundance established in the subconscious. It would mean a life free from all limitation. It would be the kingdom which Jesus Christ spoke of, where all things are automatically added unto us. I say automatically added unto us because all life is vibration, and when we vibrate to success, happiness, and abundance, the things which symbolize these states of consciousness will attach themselves to us. Feel rich and successful, and suddenly you receive a large check or a beautiful gift. I tell the story showing the work of this law. I went to a party where people played games, and whoever won received a gift. The prize was a beautiful fan. Among those present was a very rich woman who had everything. Her name was Clara. The poorer and resentful ones got together and whispered, "We hope Clara doesn't get the fan." Of course, Clara won the fan. She was carefree and vibrating to abundance. Envy and resentment short-circuit your good and keep away your fans. If you should happen to be resentful and envious, take the statement, "What God has done for others, He now does for me and more." Then all the fans and things will come your way. No man gives to himself but himself, and no man takes away from himself but himself. The game of life is a game of solitaire. As you change, all conditions will change. Now to go back to Pharaoh the oppressor. No one loves an oppressor. I remember a friend I had many years ago. Her name was Letty. Her father had plenty of money and supplied her mother and herself with food and clothes, but no luxuries. We went to art school together, and all the students would buy reproductions of The Winged Victory, Whistler's Mother, or something to bring art into their homes. My friend's father called all these things plunder. He would say, "Don't bring home any plunder." So she lived a colorless life without a Winged Victory on her bureau or Whistler's Mother on the wall. He would say often to my friend and her mother, "When I die, you'll both be well off." One day someone said to Letty, "When are you going abroad?" All art students went abroad. She replied cheerfully, "Not till Papa dies." So people always look forward to being free from lack and oppression. Let us now free ourselves from the tyrants of negative thinking. We have been slaves to doubts, fears, and apprehension, and let us be delivered as Moses delivered the children of Israel and come out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Find the thought which is your great oppressor. Find the kingpin. In the logging camps in the spring, the logs are sent down the rivers in great numbers. Sometimes the logs become crossed and cause a jam. The men look for the log causing the jam. They call it the kingpin, straighten it, and the logs rush down the river again. Maybe your kingpin is resentment. Resentment holds back your good. The more you resent, the more you will have to resent. You grow a resentment track in your brain, and your expression will be one of habitual resentment. You will be avoided and miss the golden opportunities which await you each day. I remember a few years ago, the streets were filled with men selling apples. They got up early to get the good corners. I passed one several times on Park Avenue. He had the most disagreeable expression I had ever seen. As people passed, he said, "Apples, apples." But no one stopped to buy. I invested in an apple and said, "You'll never sell apples unless you change your expression." He replied, "Well, that guy over there took my corner." I said, "Never mind about the corner. You can sell apples right here if you'll look pleasant." He said, "Okay, lady." And I went on. The next day I saw him. His whole expression had changed. He was doing a big business selling apples with a smile. So find your kingpin. You may have more than one. And your logs of success, happiness, and abundance will go rushing down your river. Go therefore now and work, for there shall no straw be given you. Yet ye shall make bricks without straw. Chapter 3. And 5 of them were wise. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. Matthew chapter 25, verses 2 and 3. My subject is the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. The parable teaches that true prayer means preparation. Jesus Christ said, "In all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive." Matthew chapter 21, verse 22. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark chapter 11, verse 24. In this parable, he shows that only those who have prepared for their good, thereby showing active faith, will bring the manifestation to pass. We might paraphrase the scriptures and say, when ye pray, believe ye have it. When ye pray, act as if you already have received. Armchair faith or rocking chair faith will never move mountains. In the armchair, in the silence or meditation, you are filled with the wonder of this truth and feel that your faith will never waver. You know that the Lord is your shepherd. You shall never want. You feel that your God of plenty will wipe out all burdens of debt or limitations. Then you leave your armchair and step out into the arena of life. It is only what you do in the arena that counts. I will give you an illustration showing how the law works, for faith without action is dead. A man, one of my students, had a great desire to go abroad. He took the statement, "I give thanks for my divinely designed trip, divinely financed, under grace, in a perfect way." He had very little money, but knowing the law of preparation, he bought a trunk. It was a very gay and happy trunk with a big red band around its waist. Whenever he looked at it, it gave him a realization of a trip. One day, he seemed to feel his room moving. He felt the motion of a ship. He went to the window to breathe the fresh air, and it smelt like the aroma of the docks. With his inner ear, he heard the shriek of a seagull and the creaking of the gangplank. The trunk had commenced to work. It had put him in the vibration of his trip. Soon after that, a large sum of money came to him, and he took the trip. He said afterwards that it was perfect in every detail. In the arena of life, we must keep ourselves tuned up to concert pitch. Are we acting from motives of fear or faith? Watch your motives with all diligence, for out of them are the issues of life. If your problem is a financial one, and it usually is, you must know how to wind yourself up financially and keep wound up by always acting your faith. The material attitude towards money is to trust in your salary, your income, and investments, which can shrink overnight. The spiritual attitude toward money is to trust in God for your supply, to keep your possessions. Always realize that they are God in manifestation. What Allah has given cannot be diminished. Then if one door shuts, another door immediately opens. Never voice lack or limitation, for by your words you are condemned. You combine with what you notice, and if you are always noticing failure and hard times, you will combine with failure and hard times. You must form the habit of living in the fourth dimension, the world of the wondrous. It is the world where you do not judge by appearances. You have trained your inner eye to see through failure into success, to see through sickness into health, to see through limitation into plenty. I will give you the land which you thou seeth. The man who achieves success has the fixed idea of success. If it is founded on a rock of truth and rightness, it will stand. If not, it is built upon sand and washed into the sea, returning to its native nothingness. Only divine ideas can endure. Evil destroys itself, for it is a cross-current against universal order, and the way of the transgressor is hard. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. The lamp symbolizes man's consciousness. The oil is what brings light or understanding. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us your oil, for our lamps are gone out. The foolish virgins were without wisdom or understanding, which is oil for the consciousness. And when they were confronted with a serious situation, they had no way of handling it. And when they said to the wise, Give us of your oil, the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. That means that the foolish virgins could not receive more than was in their consciousness, or what they were vibrating to. The man received the trip because it was in his consciousness as a reality. He believed that he had already received. As he prepared for the trip, he was taking oil for his lamps. With realization comes manifestation. The law of preparation works both ways. If you prepare for what you fear or don't want, you begin to attract it. David said, The thing I feared has come upon me. We hear people say, I must put away money in case of illness. They are deliberately preparing to be ill. Or, I'm saving for a rainy day. The rainy day is sure to come at a most inconvenient time. The divine idea for every man is plenty. Your barns should be full, and your cup should flow over. But we must learn to ask aright. For example, take this statement. I call on the law of accumulation. My supply comes from God, and now pours in and piles up under grace. This statement does not give any picture of stint or saving or sickness. It gives a fourth-dimensional feeling of abundance, leaving the channels to infinite intelligence. Every day you must make a choice. Will you be wise or foolish? Will you prepare for your good? Will you take the giant swing into faith? Or serve doubt and fear and bring no oil for your lamps? And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. You may feel that the foolish virgins paid very dearly for neglecting to bring oil for their lamps, but we are dealing with the law of karma, or the law of comeback. It has been called the Judgment Day, which people usually associate with the end of the world. Your Judgment Day comes, they say, in sevens, 7 hours, 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, or 7 years. It might even come in 7 minutes. Then you pay some karmic debt. The price for having violated spiritual law. You failed to trust God. You took no oil for your lamps. Every day examine your consciousness and see just what you are preparing for. You are fearful of lack and hang on to every cent, thereby attracting more lack. Use what you have with wisdom, and it opens the way for more to come to you. In my book, Your Word is Your Wand, I tell about the magic purse. In the Arabian Nights, they tell the story of a man who had a magic purse. As the money went out, immediately money appeared in it again. So I made the statement, my supply comes from God. I have the magic purse of the Spirit. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, immediately money comes in. It is always crammed, jammed with abundance, under grace, in perfect ways. This brings a vivid picture to mind. You are drawing on the bank of the imagination. A woman who did not have much money was afraid to pay any bills and see her bank account dwindle. It came to her with great conviction. I have the magic purse of the Spirit. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, immediately money comes in. She fearlessly paid her bills, and several large checks came to her that she did not expect. Watch and pray lest ye enter into the temptation of preparing for something destructive instead of something constructive. I knew a woman who told me she always kept a long crepe veil handy in case of funerals. I said to her, you are a menace to your relatives and are preparing to hurry them all off so that you can wear the veil. She destroyed it. Another woman who had no money decided to send her 2 daughters to college. Her husband scorned the idea and said, who will pay their tuition? I have no money for it. She replied, I know some unforeseen good will come to us. She kept on preparing her daughters for college. Her husband laughed heartily and told all their friends that his wife was sending the girls to college on some unforeseen good. A rich relative suddenly sent her a large sum of money. Some unforeseen good did arrive, for she had shown active faith. I asked what she had said to her husband when the check arrived. She replied, oh, I never antagonize George by telling him I am in the right. So prepare for your unforeseen good. Let every thought and every act express your unwavering faith. Every event in your life is a crystallized idea, something you have invited through either fear or faith, something you have prepared for. So let us be wise and bring oil for our lamps, and when we least expect it, we shall reap the fruits of our faith. My lamps are now filled with the oil of faith and fulfillment. Chapter 4. What do you expect? According to your faith, be it unto you. Matthew chapter 9, verse 29. Faith is expectancy. According to your faith, be it unto you. We might say, according to your expectancies, be it done unto you. So what are you expecting? We hear people say, we expect the worst to happen, or the worst is yet to come. They are deliberately inviting the worst to come. We hear others say, I expect a change for the better. They are inviting better conditions into their lives. Change your expectancies, and you change your conditions. How can you change your expectancies when you have formed the habit of expecting loss, lack, or failure? Begin to act as if you expected success, happiness, and abundance. Prepare for your good. Do something to show you expect it to come. Active faith alone will impress the subconscious. If you have spoken the word for a home, prepare for it immediately, as if you hadn't a moment to lose. Collect little ornaments, tablecloths, etc. I knew a woman who made the giant swing into faith by buying a large armchair. A chair meant business. She bought a large and comfortable chair, for she was preparing for the right man. He came. Someone will say, suppose you haven't money to buy ornaments or a chair. Then look in shop windows and link with them in thought. Get in their vibration. I sometimes hear people say, I don't go into the shops because I can't afford to buy anything. That is just the reason why you should go into the shops. Begin to make friends with the things you desire or require. I know a woman who wanted a ring. She went boldly to the ring department and tried on rings. It gave her such a realization of ownership that not long after, a friend made her a gift of a ring. You combine with what you notice. Keep on noticing beautiful things, and you make an invisible contact. Sooner or later, these things are drawn into your life, unless you say, "Poor me, too good to be true." My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from Him. This is a most important statement from the 62nd Psalm. The soul is the subconscious mind, and the psalmist was telling his subconscious to expect everything directly from the universal, not to depend upon doors and channels. My expectations are from Him. God cannot fail, for His ways are ingenious, His methods are sure. You can expect any seemingly impossible good from God if you do not limit the channels. Do not say how you want it done or how it can't be done. God is the giver and the gift and creates His own amazing channels. Take the following statement. I cannot be separated from God the giver. Therefore, I cannot be separated from God the gift. The gift is God in action. Get the realization that every blessing is good in action, and seek God in every face and good in every situation. This makes you master of all conditions. A woman came to me saying that there was no heat in the radiators in their apartment, and that her mother was suffering from the cold. She added, "The landlord has declared that we can't have heat until a certain date." I replied, "God is your landlord." She said, "That's all I want to know," and rushed out. That evening the heat was turned on without asking. It was because she realized that the landlord was God in manifestation. This is a wonderful age, for people are becoming miracle-minded. It is in the air. Quoting from an article which I found in the New York Journal and American by John Anderson, it corroborates what I have just said. The title of the article is, "Theater-goers Make Hits of Metaphysical Plays." "If," said the cynical manager, "who shall be called Brock Pemberton," with a slight accent of sarcasm in his voice, the other night on an intermission curbside talk, "you fellows," meaning the critics, "know so much about what the New York public wants, why don't you tell me what to produce? Why don't you tell me what sort of play the playgoers want to see?" "I would," I said, "but you wouldn't believe it." "You're hedging," he said. "You don't know, and you're trying to cover up by pretending to know more than you're willing to say. You haven't any more idea than I have this minute what sort of plays generally succeed." "I have," I said. "There is one surefire success, one theme that works and has always worked, whether it is competing with Boy Meets Girl, mysteries, historical tragedies, etc. No play on the theme has ever completely failed if it had nay merit at all, and a lot of poor ones have been big hits." "You're stalling again," said Mr. Pemberton. "What sort of plays are they?" "Metaphysical," I said, fouling slightly with a big word and waiting quietly for the effect. "Metaphysical," said Mr. Pemberton. "You mean metaphysical?" I paused a moment, and since Mr. Pemberton said nothing, went right on spouting such titles as The Green Pastures, The Star Wagon, Father Malachi's Miracle. Some of these, I added, reached the public over the heads of the critics, but Mr. Pemberton had departed to ask probably in every theater in town, "Is there a metaphysician in the house?" People are beginning to realize the power of their words and thoughts. They understand why faith is the substance of the thing hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We see the law of expectancy working out through superstition. If you walk under a ladder and expect it to give you bad luck, it will give you bad luck. The ladder is quite innocent. Bad luck came because you expected it. We might say expectancy is the substance of the things hoped for, or expectancy is the substance of the thing man fears. The thing I expected has come upon me. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. Nothing is too good to last when you look to God for your good. Now think of the blessings which seem so far off, and begin to expect them now, under grace, in an unexpected way. For God works in unexpected ways, His wonders to perform. I was told that there are 3,000 promises in the Bible. Let us now expect all these blessings to come to pass. Among them we are promised riches and honor, eternal youth. Your flesh shall become as a little child's, and eternal life. Death itself shall be overcome. Christianity is founded upon the forgiveness of sins and an empty tomb. We now know that all these things are scientifically possible. As we call on the law of forgiveness, we become free from mistakes and the consequences of mistakes. Though your sins be as scarlet, ye shall be washed whiter than wool. Then our bodies will be bathed in light and express the body electric, which is incorruptible and indestructible, pure substance, expressing perfection. I expect the unexpected. My glorious good now comes to pass. Chapter 5. The Long Arm of God. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 27. In the Bible, the arm of God always symbolizes protection. The writers of the Bible knew the power of a symbol. It brings a picture which impresses the subconscious mind. They used the symbols of the rock, sheep, shepherds, vineyard, lamp, and hundreds of others. It would be interesting to know how many symbols are used in the Bible. The arm also symbolizes strength. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy them. Who is the enemy before thee? The negative thought forms which you have built up in your subconscious mind. A man's enemies are only those of his own household. The everlasting arms thrust out these enemy thoughts and destroy them. Have you ever felt the relief of getting out some negative thought form? Perhaps you have built up a thought form of resentment until you are always boiling with anger about something. You resent people you know, people you don't know, people in the past and people in the present, and you may be sure that the people in the future won't escape your wrath. All the organs of the body are affected by resentment, for when you resent with every organ of the body. You pay the penalty with rheumatism, arthritis, neuritis, etc. For acid thoughts produce acid in the blood. All this trouble comes because you are fighting the battle, not leaving it to the long arm of God. I have given the following statement to many of my students. The long arm of God reaches out over people and conditions, controlling the situation and protecting my interests. This brings a picture of a long arm symbolizing strength and protection. With the realization of the power of the long arm of God, you would no longer resist or resent. You would relax and let go. The enemy thoughts within you would be destroyed. Therefore, the adverse conditions would disappear. Spiritual development means the ability to stand still or stand aside and let infinite intelligence lift your burdens and fight your battles. When the burden of resentment is lifted, you experience a sense of relief. You have a kindly feeling for everyone, and all the organs of your body begin to function properly. A clipping quoting Albert Edward Day, D.D., writes, that loving our enemies is good for our spiritual health is widely known and accepted, but that negation and poisonous emotions destroy physical health is a relatively new discovery. The problem of health is often an emotional one. Wrong emotions entertained and repeated are potent causes of illness. When the preacher talks about loving your enemies, the man on the street is apt to dismiss the idea as unendurable and pious. But the fact is, the preacher is telling you something which is one of the first laws of hygiene as well as ethics. No man, even for his body's sake, can afford to indulge in hatred. It is like repeated doses of poison. When you are urged to get rid of fear, you are not listening to a moonstruck idealist. Rather, you are hearing counsel that is as significant for health as advice about diet. We hear so much about a balanced diet, but without a balanced mind, you can't digest what you eat, calories or no calories. Non-resistance is an art. When acquired, the world is yours. So many people are trying to force situations. Your lasting good will never come through forcing personal will. Flee from the things which flee from thee. Seek nothing. Fortune seeketh thee. Behold his shadow on the floor. Behold him standing at the door. I do not know the author of these lines. Lovelock, the celebrated English athlete, was asked how to attain his speed and endurance in running. He replied, "Learn to relax." Let us attain this rest in action. He was most relaxed when running the fastest. Your big opportunity and big success usually slide in when you least expect it. You have to let go long enough for the great law of attraction to operate. You never saw a worried and anxious magnet. It stands up straight and hasn't a care in the world because it knows needles can't help jumping to it. The things we rightly desire come to pass when we have taken the clutch off. I say in my correspondence course, do not let your heart's desire become your heart's disease. You are completely demagnetized when you desire something too intensely. You worry, fear, and agonize. There is an occult law of indifference. None of these things move me. Your ship comes in over a don't-care sea. Many people in truth antagonize friends because they are too anxious for them to read the books and go to the lectures, the meet opposition. A friend took my book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, to her brother's house to read. The young men of the family refused to read it. No nut stuff for them. One of these young men drives a taxicab. One night he drove a taxi which belonged to another man. In going over the car, he found a book stuffed away somewhere. It was The Game of Life and How to Play It. The next day he said to his aunt, "I found Mrs. Shin's book in the taxi last night. I read it, and it's great. There's a lot of good reading in it. Why doesn't she write another book?" God works in roundabout ways, His wonders to perform. I meet unhappy people and a few grateful and contented people. A man said to me one day, "I have a great deal to be thankful for. I have good health, enough money, and I'm still single." The 89th Psalm is very interesting, for we find that two individuals take part. The man who sings the psalm, for all psalms are songs or poems, and Lord God of hosts answers him. It is a song of praise and thanksgiving, extolling the strong arm of God. I will sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. O Lord God of hosts, who is a strong Lord like unto thee? Thou hast a mighty arm, strong is thy hand, and high is that right hand. Then the Lord of hosts replies, "With whom my hand shall be established, mine arm also shall strengthen him. My mercy will keep for him forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him." We only hear the words forevermore in the Bible and in fairy tales. In the absolute, man is outside of time and space. His good is from everlasting to everlasting. The fairy tales came down from the old Persian legends, which were founded upon truth. Aladdin and his wonderful lamp is the outpicturing of the Word. Aladdin rubbed the lamp, and all his desires came to pass. Your Word is your lamp. Words and thoughts are a form of radioactivity and do not return void. A scientist has said that words are clothed in light. You are continually reaping the fruits of your words. A friend in one of my meetings said that she had brought a man to my class who had been out of work for a year or more. I gave the statement, "Now is the appointed time. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune." It clicked in his consciousness. Soon after, he was given a position which paid him $9,000 a year. A woman told me that when I blessed the offering, I said that each offering would return 1,000-fold. She had put $1 in the collection. She said with great realization, that dollar is blessed and returns $1,000. She received $1,000 a short time afterwards in a most unexpected way. Why do some people demonstrate this truth so much more quickly than others? It is because they have the ears that hear. Jesus Christ tells the parable of the man who sowed the seed and it fell upon good ground. The seed is the Word. I say, listen for the statement that clicks, the statement that gives your realization. That statement will bear fruit. The other day I went into a shop where I know the employer quite well. I had given one of his employees an affirmation card. I said to him jokingly, "I wouldn't waste an affirmation card on you. You wouldn't use it." He replied, "Oh, sure, give me one. I'll use it." The following week I gave him a card. Before I left, he rushed up to me excitedly and said, "I made the statement and 2 new customers walked in." It was, "Now is the appointed time. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune." It had clicked. So many people use their words in exaggerated and reckless statements. I find a great deal of material for my talks in the beauty parlor. A young girl wanted a magazine to read. She called to the operator, "Give me something terribly new and frightfully exciting." All she wanted was the latest moving picture magazine. You hear people say, "I wish something terribly exciting would happen." They are inviting some unhappy but exciting experience into their lives. Then they wonder why it happened to them. There should be a chair of metaphysics in all colleges. Metaphysics is the wisdom of the ages. It is the ancient wisdom taught all through the centuries in India, and Egypt, and Greece. Hermes Trismegistus was a great teacher of Egypt. His teachings were closely guarded and have come down to us over 10 centuries. He lived in Egypt in the days when the present race of men was in its infancy. But if you read the Kabbalion carefully, you find that he taught just what we are teaching today. He said that all mental states were accompanied by vibrations. You combine with what you vibrate to. So let us all now vibrate to success, happiness, and abundance. Now is the appointed time. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune. Chapter 6. The Fork in the Road. Choose you this day whom ye shall serve. Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. Every day there is a necessity of choice, a fork in the road. Shall I do this, or shall I do that? Shall I go, or shall I stay? Many people do not know what to do. They rush about letting other people make decisions for them, then regret having taken their advice. There are others who carefully reason things out. They weigh and measure the situation like dealing in groceries and are surprised when they fail to obtain their goal. There are still other people who follow the magic path of intuition and find themselves in their promised land in the twinkling of an eye. Intuition is a spiritual faculty high above the reasoning mind, but on the path is all that you desire or require. In my book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, I give many examples of success attained through using this marvelous faculty. I say also that prayer is telephoning to God, and intuition is God telephoning to you. So choose ye this day to follow the magic path of intuition. In my question and answer classes, I tell you to cultivate intuition. In most people, it is a faculty which has remained dormant. So we say, awake, thou that sleepeth. Wake up to your leads and hunches. Wake up to the divinity within. Claude Bragdon said, to live intuitively is to live fourth-dimensionally. Now it is necessary for you to make a decision. You face a fork in the road. Ask for a definite, unmistakable lead, and you will receive it. We find many events to interpret metaphysically in the book of Joshua. After the death of Moses, the divine command came to Joshua, "Now therefore arise, go over the Jordan, thou and all thy people, unto the land which I do give to them. Every place the sole of your feet shall tread upon, to you have I given it." The feet are the symbol of understanding, so it means metaphysically all that we understand stands under us in consciousness, and what is rooted there can never be taken from us. For the Bible goes on to say, "There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses, my servant, commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. So we find we have success through being strong and very courageous in following spiritual law. We are back again to the fork in the road, the necessity of choice. Choose you this day whom ye shall serve, the intellect or divine guidance. A well-known man who has become a great power in the financial world said to a friend, "I always follow intuition, and I am luck incarnate." Inspiration, which is divine guidance, is the most important thing in life. People come to truth meetings for inspiration. I find the right word will start divine activity operating in their affairs. A woman came to me with a complication of affairs. I said to her, "Let God juggle the situation." It clicked. She took the affirmation, "I now let God juggle this situation." Almost immediately, she rented a house, which had been vacant for a long time. Let God juggle every situation, for when you try to juggle the situation, you drop all the balls. In my question and answer classes, I would be asked, "How do you let God juggle a situation, and what do you mean when you say I should not juggle it?" You juggle with the intellect. The intellect would say, "Times are hard, no activity in real estate, don't expect anything until the fall of 1958. With spiritual law, there is only the now. Before you call, you are answered. For time and space are but a dream, and your blessing is there waiting for you to release it by faith and the Word. Choose you this day whom ye shall serve, fear or faith." In every act prompted by fear lies the germ of its own defeat. It takes much strength and courage to trust God. We often trust Him in little things, but when it comes to a big situation, we feel we had better attend to it ourselves. Then comes defeat and failure. The following extract from a letter which I received from a woman in the West shows how conditions can change in the twinkling of an eye. "I've had the pleasure of reading your wonderful book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. I have 4 boys, 10, 13, 15, and 17, and thought how wonderful for them to grasp it in their early life and be able to get things which are theirs by divine right. The lady who let me read her copy gave me other things to read, but it seemed when I picked this book up it was magnetic, and I could not let go of it. After reading it, I realized I was trying to live divinely, but did not understand the law, or I would have been much further advanced. At first, I thought it quite hard to find a place in the business world after so many years of being a mother, but I got this statement, God makes a way where there is no way. And He did that very thing for me. I am grateful for my position and smile when people say, "How do you do it? Manage 4 growing boys, a home, after all the times you have been hospitalized with such major operations and none of your relatives near you." I have that statement in my book, God makes a way where there is no way. God made a way for her in business when all her friends said it couldn't be done. The average person will tell you almost anything can't be done. I had an example of this the other day. In a shop, I found a delightful little silver drippolator, which would make just 1 cup of anything. I showed it to some friends with enthusiasm, thinking it's so very cute, and one said, "It will never work." The other said, "If it belonged to me, I'd throw it away." I stood up for the little drippolator and said I knew it would work, which it did. My friends were simply typical of the average person who says it can't be done. All big ideas meet with opposition. Do not let other people rock your boat. Follow the path of wisdom and understanding, and turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. In the 13th verse of the 24th chapter of Joshua, we read a remarkable statement. "And I have given you a land for which ye did not labor, and cities which ye built not, and ye dwell in them, of the vineyards and olive yards, which ye planted not, do ye eat." This shows that man cannot earn anything. His blessings come as gifts. Gifts, lest any man shall boast. With the realization of wealth, we receive the gift of wealth. With the realization of success, we receive the gift of success, for success and abundance are states of mind. For it is the Lord our God, He it is, that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. The land of Egypt stands for darkness, the house of bondage, where man is a slave to his doubts and fears and beliefs and lack and limitation, the result of having followed the wrong fork in the road. Misfortune is due to failure to stick to the things which Spirit has revealed through intuition. All big things have been accomplished by men who stuck to their big ideas. Henry Ford was past middle age when the idea of the Ford car came to him. He had great difficulty in raising the money. His friends thought it was a crazy idea. His father said to him tearfully, "Henry, why do you give up a good $25 a week job in order to chase a crazy idea?" But no one could rock Henry Ford's boat. So in order to come out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of bondage, we must make the right decisions. Follow the right fork in the road. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand nor to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. So, as we reach the fork in the road today, let us fearlessly follow the voice of intuition. The Bible calls it the still small voice. There came a voice behind me saying, "This is the way. Walk ye in it. On this path is the good, already prepared for you. You will find the land for which ye did not labor, and cities which ye built not, and ye dwell in them. Of the vineyards and olive yards which ye planted not, do you eat. I am divinely led. I follow the right fork in the road. God makes a way where there is no way."